y'all, never mind me.
Hey everybody, I was thinking about one of the hardest things that I've ever seen a person do and have had to do myself. And one of the hardest things that I've seen and had to do myself is to stand in a situation or to stand in a place. And what I mean by that is to be responsible and to be accountable and to just be there, to not run away or to not seek to be more comfortable, but to stand in an uncomfortable environment sometimes, or to just stand in the place where people can see you. It's tough to be because to stand there, you oftentimes hear it as a sitting target sometimes. You are standing there to be responsible. You are standing there to be accountable. You are standing there to be the person to be the person that others can look to for answers, to look to for support. Others can look to you for strength. And that's one of the most difficult things to do. And I think of that in regard to reading the book by John Lewis, and he was talking about all the training that they had to just stand. In some cases during the marches, where they marched and people were throwing things at him, spitting at him, hurling insults at him. And he talked about other nonviolent movements with Mahatma Gandhi, and how the difficulty was in standing, and even in regard to the lunch counter sit-ins, how difficult it would be to sit there while people did all sorts of things, physical things against you, said nasty things about you if they weren't physically accosting you, all sorts of things, and how difficult it was in the training that they had to go through as civil rights workers through the different organizations. And of course, that's on one tier of just standing. But even in your daily lives, when you're not a victim of that sort of vile, vengeful bigotry, in your daily life, just to stand there and to be accountable when you have your goals that may or may not be being met on a time schedule that you would prefer, when you have things that are not going correct, and yet you stand there and are accountable to other people in your household and other people in your family and other people in your circle, and you do it. You do it willingly sometimes, you do it begrudgingly sometimes. You stand there, and it's incredibly difficult, incredibly difficult to stand there when you know it would be so easy just to step down or step away or step out of the spotlight or out of the hot seat. You know what it would be like, and you know how good it would feel to not be there and to not have to be the one that people look to. And you know that should you fail or should you make a bad decision, those same people sometimes may turn on you and may call you the failure and call you the reason for the project not going as it should have, and your leadership is the reason why they didn't grow. And you can think of 1,000 different rebuttals why they were incorrect, and you'd be right on every last one of them. But you know that in doing so, it undermines the position, and it does the overall no good. It does the relationship between you and that person no good. It does the relationship with you as a leader and those you have to lead no good. It does the project that may have gone astray or it may have even failed no good. It does no benefit save for protect your ego, or save for protect your, your honor. So we'll say honor is a diet version of ego. And I think it's difficult. And I think about that because lots of people have had to just stand there. That is the hardest thing to do, to stand there and to be the face when people slander the face and people talk about, oh, if so and so wouldn't have been there, we could have gotten it much further down the road. And you stand when nobody else stood, when you only stood there because no one else would do it. And you decided to do it because you had to, not because you have a desire to see power or you have a thirst for attention, just that it had to be done. It's a very selfless and oftentimes thankless position to be in, but you stand. And I think that's incredibly difficult because as parents or as adults in general, you have to stand. And more often than not, you're standing in situations that are not ideal, standing in situations that you would rather be in a position where you could sit back and place blame on someone else, a they, a those, a them. You would rather be in a position where all is going well and you don't have to answer many questions and you don't have to solve issues on a daily, a weekly, or an hourly basis. It'd be much easier. But because of what has been placed inside you, I believe, you stand and you are there and you are accountable. I used to get frustrated when, sometimes people ask you for things and it's the same people asking you for the same thing over and over and over again. You're like, man, if you would just get yourself together, you could supply all these needs yourself. But then I took a second, and I don't know if I took a second or I just had a second where I looked at it objectively and I said, okay, I could either be mad that this person always comes to me for whatever the case may be. It's not always money, conversation, whatever it is. And you could be upset about that and you can dwell on that and you can sit with that. Or what I chose to do is I chose to look at it from the vantage point of the reason why they can come to me is because I usually am at a more stable place. So to be stable and to be continuously in position is a great, 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 great honor and a position. It may not be the best feeling to have people coming to you, but to be in a position where you don't have to go to people all the time. You don't have to ask people all the time. That's a great position to be a lender instead of a borrower. It's a great position to be in, and it's an honor position because a lot of people don't have the means to do that through the resources or through information. Most often through information, I would think. But I think that it's same situation, but if you appreciate it from a different vantage point, that you don't have to ask people all the time for help. You don't need help in that regard all the time. And I think that that's a blessing to be able to provide to people. And I read recently something that kind of resonated with me. And it was, well, first I'll say that as a kid, I learned, well, I won't say a kid, or early 20s when I got my first real job. I realized that even though it wasn't a ton of money, and I still don't have a ton of money now, I realized that it was a better position that instead of making loans to a bunch of different people that are close to you, if you want to do strangers, you can do loans, go for it, or a family, go for it if it works out. But for people that are close to me, I decided that if I was able to help them, I wouldn't make it a loan. I would make it a gift because that way there's no expectations and nobody has to avoid you and nobody has to duck you if it goes wrong or, if they can't pay in time or whatever the case may be. I decided to do that. And what I read recently was Jada Pinkett said that she does the same thing with her family. She doesn't loan money to her family. If it's something where she can help them with a financial need, she'll just give them the money because it's easier to maintain those relationships. It's easier to not have to add the stress to it. And I think that that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to approach it. If you can give, do give. Now, of course, every situation that comes up, you can't give money or you just don't have the money to supply that need financially for what they have going on. And that's acceptable too. But I think that for me, for my close circle, I like to, if I have it and if I have it available, I like to give it. I don't want to have strings attached to it. I don't want to have any problems with it, because I would rather maintain the quality and the integrity of the relationship than to get, a little piece of money back or a little piece of interest on some money I charged, or whatever the case may be. I think it's easier to be in that position. And even that, in regard to standing, is a blessing, because you can be in a position where people can look to you, again, not just for money, but they can look for you for your insight, and they can look to you for wisdom on a specific situation, or a clarity on a situation that they're going to. I think that that's a phenomenal thing to have placed upon you. And of course, the weight of that is that you do have to stand. So I guess for all those people who are standing now, in the future, I pray strength for you. I pray wisdom for you. And I pray that you decide to take time to evaluate all your situations carefully, so you can make the best decisions based upon the information you have available. I pray that if you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed, that you have a support system that can help you, that can be solid ground and a foundation for you. And I pray that in all those things that you don't get tired, because people need you. We need people like that on the earth to help people out. We need more people who are giving, and who are selfless, and who are able and have the resources to be a bridge and a beacon, because without you, a lot of times things would not be done. So I'm thankful for all the people like that who are listening, or who may share this with a friend, who are in a position where you have to stand. You have been standing. I'm thankful for you, even though I don't know you, because the world is greater because of you, because of your actions, and because of your example. So I'm thankful for you, and have a great day.